This is the most vicious knockout in boxing history, and he was supposed to win this fight. But he had a fatal flaw that nobody saw coming. Here's what happened. Back in the 90s, the heavyweight division was filled with legends, fighters with power and charisma, and this rising star had it all. Tommy Morrison. With crushing power in both hands and the confidence of a champion, he entered this fight as the favorite. But the very power that made him dangerous was hiding a problem he wouldn't be able to escape. But across the ring stood Ray Mercer, known for his granite chin and relentless toughness. He wasn't afraid of Morrison's power. In fact, he had already beaten Morrison back in the Olympic trials. This was a chance for him to prove lightning could strike twice. But for Morrison, this fight was personal. This fight started exactly how everyone expected. Morrison came out throwing bombs and Mercer was on his heels. And Morrison was doing something smart. He was punching around Mercer's guard and landing. But he was burning a lot of fuel. Morrison's plan was to keep the punch volume high and go for an early knockout while keeping Mercer on the defensive. But keeping this kind of pace up is very difficult, and Mercer's plan was already starting to work. While on the stool, Mercer's corner noticed that Tommy was out of breath and told Mercer to let Morrison punch himself out. And right from the start of the second round, cracks in Morrison's plan were starting to show. Morrison was committed to throwing power shots and Mercer was making Tommy miss. And with every missed shot, Tommy's gas tank was draining, and Mercer was taking advantage. Whenever Tommy would tie him up, Ray would hold the back of Tommy's neck to tire out his neck muscles, thus tiring Morrison out even faster. But Morrison was still dangerous, slipping shots and landing counter punches effectively. Mercer couldn't go on a full offensive yet. He had to wait for the right moment. But one thing was for certain. Morrison was tying up a lot more and breathing heavier than before. At the end of the round, it was very clear that Mercer's confidence was growing, and it was time to unleash an offensive. After the short rest, Morrison came out swinging for the fences. He likely knew this was his last chance to score a knockout, and whatever stamina he had in reserve was gone with the wind after this last-ditch effort. Morrison hit Mercer with everything he had, and Mercer wouldn't go down. With Morrison exhausted, Mercer was landing with more frequency, feinting a jab, getting Morrison to defend. Mercer would then bring a hook around the guard, landing effectively. The round ended with Morrison eating a slashing right that staggered him and cut his lower lip. As Mercer strutted back to his corner, it was clear. Morrison had nothing left, and Mercer shook the whole world with what was about to happen. Mercer immediately jumped on Morrison, throwing bombs without any fear of retaliation from him. Mercer was focused on total and complete destruction. The only defense Morrison had left was to tie him up and gasp for air, which only gave Mercer more and more confidence. And then it happened. Mercer caught Morrison clean coming in and flipped him into the ropes and started to unload everything he had left in the tank. I'll never know how Morrison stayed upright for so long, eating about 15 clean shots from Mercer. Clearly out on his feet, this referee stopped the fight way too late and could have cost Morrison his career or life with such negligence. But regardless, Tommy learned a valuable lesson. He counted heavily on his knockout power to win him fights early, focused more on building power and not stamina. Even alleged steroid abuse accusations. And while he could knock out most people, Ray Mercer was in that 1% who wouldn't be knocked out. This victory cemented Mercer's reputation as one of the most dangerous men in the heavyweight division. In boxing, the truth is often simple. Stamina beats strength every single time. Comment a fight you'd like me to break down next.